Hello everyone, welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Mid. This is the Season 9 update. Now the start for mages has changed, as well as a couple of the general builds for mages have also changed to some extent. Now I'm playing Anubis, so I'm going to be building a little bit differently from the norms, but not by a whole lot. So who's my landing opponent? Hell? Alright. Xing Xian support, I assume. That'll be Painty later on. Alright. That's fine. So, anytime. Who hasn't loaded? Erlong Shen. Okay. Fair enough, I suppose. Go for this. And no. This. And probably beads. Now, normally you would want to build... right now, the Hourglass is more popular, but Sands of Time is more popular because Anubis is passive. I'm building Bancrofts early. I could go into Vampiric Shroud. That's usually a bit better for solo lane. In the mid lane, when you're playing a mid lane Anubis, you really don't need Vampiric Shroud right off the top, unless you intend on playing abnormally aggressively, in which case you'll want it to kind of ward off some of that minion damage. But overall, it's not vitally important that you have that in mid lane. So, especially with the 60 power you get from the tier 2 here, a lot of people have been going for... well, there's really three primary items that a lot of people have been playing with mid lane that I've seen. First is Bancroft's Talon. Second is... well, Bancroft's Talon is probably the most popular. For Anubis, like I said, I'm going to full build that before my starter, and then I'll probably pick up Sands of Time afterwards. Since that's generally going to be better for me in that regard. That was nice. So that'll be... but normally, for most other mages, you would want to pick up Sands of Time in Stage 1 lifesteal, and you want the Sands of Time for the MP5, and the cooldown primarily is what you're looking for there. So that is generally what you are looking for at that point. Which is why I will be building it second. I might build it earlier if I die or something like that. That's all I needed there. Did you really just try that? Ratatoskir, my dude? You're gonna go melee with, Anubis? What are you doing? You feeling alright, Rat?
These streets are dangerous.
Now I want to use the Hell as an example. She went Conduit Gem, which is a little surprising. It looks like she's going to do the infamous, boing? Why am I having a brain cramp with that? I'm having such a brain cramp. Chronos Pendant, that's the one. The Chronos Pendant start. Now, the only real potential issue with the Chronos Pendant start is that it emphasizes mana over lifesteal, obviously, which is why a lot of people build the Sands of Time Bancroft's Talon start, because that's going to very quickly get you life regen, mana regen, all for a pretty low cost, get you some decent power in there, get some cooldown reduction as well, which is why that's particularly popular. The reason she's probably going for the Chronos Pendant start is probably because she has a self-heal, so she's going to be more concerned about her MP5 than she is about her health, which makes sense. It's not the Chronos Pendant that necessarily on health it's a problem. The Conduit Gem confuses me a little bit. I can understand using that for some really nice poke, but I'm Anubis, and you don't... Hell does not poke well against Anubis, in all honesty. Hello. Okay, he still killed me, but that's fine. I should have expected him to be over there, to be completely honest. I need to be building wards here. There we go.
Enemy missing middle.
But yeah, that's going to be fairly interesting to yeah, Conduit Gem is not necessarily what I would have built on her at the start. She would have been better off with the Sands of Time. She would have been able to heal herself more frequently, get some MP5, which she clearly is going to concern. Yes, the Conduit Gem has some MP5, but not as much as as Sands of Time can have when you're low on mana already. And stack that up with Chronos Pendant, you've got really impressive amounts of mana regeneration, perfectly passively without even needing to really do much for it. So I'm not really sure why she built Conduit Gem on her specifically. It is a bit odd to me, considering she's clearly concerned about her mana regen if she is going to go for that Chronos Pendant. She might be going for Charon's Coin, potentially, but I kind of doubt that. This early in the game, I doubt she'd be looking for that penetration, and she doesn't need to sustain that much. Now I just want to know where Rat is. There's Xingshan. Alright. There's Hachiman, but there's Rat? Hello. Oh, okay, that's been taken. That's fine. Go ahead and do some extra damage to them. I'm not going to use any abilities here because I want to grab the Lotus. There we go, that should be fine.
Enemies incoming left.
Pretty bold move of her to go left. She didn't even commit to it. Really? What are you doing? That's a bit weird, but okay. Oh, she's at... Oh, okay, she wasn't even going for that. She was going for her damage buff. That's fair. Is he going to actually steal that? He did. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed, actually. I don't need to be here. I don't have... Oh, he's going to slap him down? No, he's not. He's just barely going to get out alive. Alright, I'm going to clear these side harpies, and then I'm out of here. Even though Ratatoskr just left with very low health, he still could very easily ult back in and slap me down, which is not something I'm looking to have exist in my life, thank you very much. How do I really want to play this? Now, stacks have become very unpopular for a couple of reasons. First, they take a while to build up, but I think I'm far enough ahead where I can probably get away with it. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. And we'll see what happens. She's checking the harpies. That's exactly what she was doing there.
Enemy missing middle. Cancel that. Enemies have returned middle. Wouldn't want to be you.
Alright, Xingshan is going to be a problem. Leave me alone, please. Thank you. Where's Rat? Where's Rat? I'm very concerned about the potential of being ganked by Rat. His ult kind of scares me. The reason why I'm so concerned about his ult is because I don't have an escape. Which means I am very vulnerable to Ratatoskr, who really doesn't need much to pin you down and get you killed. Anybody with an escape is going to have a really hard time with Ratatoskr, and of course, like I just said, I don't have one, so I'm very concerned about it. He could ult in and then hit me with the stun that he's got very easily, and then that would just be a whole problem. I'm going to go ahead and clear those out, and then I'm going to head right. No, Loki got out. He doesn't need me. I just wanted to scare him off. I didn't hit him with it, which would have been ideal, but just the miss intimidated him enough to convince him to stay off. Okay. Nope. I didn't place that exactly correctly. If I had, I might have been able to save him. If I'd put it farther in front of him, he could have run into it. They might have been slowed down enough where he could have gotten out. or at least taken somebody with him, so I misplaced that one. It's been a hot minute since I've been Anubis. I'm just a little bit out of practice. Forgot how long it can take him to actually summon that.
Enemy missing middle.
But
Enemy missing left.
yeah, she went right for the Chronos Pendant build. I can't remember what the second one is. It's not a very popular build because it does leave you somewhat vulnerable. Because you don't have lifesteal, so it can get a bit difficult to survive without that. Again, that's not a problem for Hell, but there's so few people that can get away with building Chronos Pendant and start that I can't quite remember what the next item is. I'll remember it as probably a little bit later on. I'm a bit too busy focusing on, making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in mid lane. Mid lane got a little bit busier. The only real change to mid lane in terms of its laning phase and its... not even its end objectives, but the laning phase got a little bit more interesting for mid lane because now you have to pay a little bit more attention to specific camps. Beforehand, you would take camps only when you have the opportunity, really, because, extra golden experience, it was nice to have, right? You didn't need to take the camps. They were a nice bonus, but that's not the case anymore. It's now more of a need. You need to be picking up, like the Lotus, anything that has a Lotus on it. You kind of need to be taking those so you can get the Obelisk. It is no longer something that, I wish I'd gotten that, but the fact that I didn't isn't a problem. Yeah, no, that's not really true anymore. You have to be much more aggressive about your jungle. You actually will be finding yourself fighting over camps in the jungle a little bit more often. That's what these fights in mid lane are really actually about. They're not really about, I am winning in mid lane. Now, they're really about the jungle camps. You'll take the towers eventually. That's not really a huge problem. It's really more about, can I snatch up a delicious jungle camp while they're dead? Because we need that for the obelisk. It doesn't sound... some players don't treat the obelisk with the respect it deserves. That can make quite a difference in the early game, because that's like having an extra auto attack for some of your frontliners. I'm a little surprised that hit me, but alright. You have beads. How bold.
Enemies incoming left.
Alright. Okay.
This hood ain't safe.
Enemy ultimate down.
Okay. I don't do quite as much damage to him, apparently. Oh, hi, Loki. What the hell are you doing here? He's over here for whatever reason. Alright. Probably because he's massively ahead of the Raven.
Okay. The obelisks are active. You're right.
We can lock him down and kill him. No, we can't. For a very brief moment was concerned they were going to pull the Gold Fury out of my Locust Breath. That was a very serious concern of mine. Now notice how much mana I'm getting back right now from the Sands of Time. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really does help in the long term. I've been able to stay out as long as I have been because of Sands of Time. It's a very... as often as it's built, a lot of people build it without fully understanding why it's important. It's not the cooldown reduction, and it's not because it can evolve into something that has 20% cooldown, which I think is the reason why a lot of people build it. But it's really useful for the incredibly huge amounts of MP5 it provides you in the early game. And in the late game, the passive gives you a massive damage spike. Well, okay, massive is a bit of an exaggeration, but it gives you a really hefty damage spike, to be sure. Look, I've never really gotten out of the area between, like, 1/4 and 1/2 of my mana because of Sands of Time. It's the glory of Sands of Time. Who's pinging? Oh. I'm just gonna take this really quick.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Oh, no. There's some Robins coming over.
Enemies in middle lane.
Okay. Alright, they all came and slapped me down. Alright, fair enough. I'll grab Book of Thoth. And what do I want to grab as my next lifesteal item? I also need penetration as well, so I need to keep that in mind. You know what? I'm just gonna go for Spear of the Magus, to be completely honest. Okay. It's not a huge setback. We're still decently ahead of the hill. I'm gonna go to mid lane and clear that. I'm not even sure I need to. I think she's only got archers there. My wave is coming up. Yeah, that really shouldn't be a problem. It's not. They stole my damage buff. That's not surprising. Oh, they're at the mid-harpy. I can hear Ratatoskir yelling at the top of his lungs. Take some poke.
Enemy missing. Wait. Attack fire giant.
Can I have a hot second to, I don't know, grab some stacks? Thanks. Nice. Why are there 12 wards here? Hello? Okay, he beads out. I'm glad I didn't use my ult.
Place a ward for teleport.
Best you're gonna do is that ward. Never mind. Hachiman could be a bit of a problem. I'm in trouble. Oh, shoot. I don't quite have what I need for damage output yet. Now we'll grab Typhon's Fang. And then I'll probably want to grab, ideally, Rod of the Booty for Calamitous Rod of the Booty. But I'm not 100% sure. I may wind up selling my Spear of the Magus in favor of Divine Ruin. I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to start with Spear of the Magus. That should be fine, theoretically speaking. It depends on if I can bust out the damage output that I'm hoping I can with Book of Thoth. And I'm only building Book of Thoth because I am going to be building Typhon's Fang, obviously. I have Bancroft's Talon, so I've got extra mana from items anyways, so... And whether I had Divine Ruin or Spear of the Magus, it wouldn't really matter in terms of Book of Thoth or the metal there. I can't remember the name of off the top of my head for some reason now. But the stack collection is going all right.
Enemy making middle.
What is left of their life?
Enemies have returned to base. Gank.
We can kill him. I wouldn't worry about the rat yet. We can take this guy first. Very good. Not a bad idea, but I want to take this first. This should be fairly interesting. You got away. Alright. Oh, the Hachiman killed me. Ah, shoot, so close. I mean, they took out the Ratatosk here. Loki's taking left tower. This almost took everyone out over there. That Hachiman really slapped me down, though. I'm a bit winging his build here because I haven't played him in a little bit. So I'm not really 100% sure how I should adjust the normal builds for him. Yeah, she built Divine Rune. That's not really a surprise. Now, that's the one really interesting thing I've noticed about a lot of the mid builds right now. A lot of the mage builds, let me rephrase that. They're pretty static, but there's always one item that's going to be a flex pick based on the enemy team. And this is fairly standard because of the need for what the heck am I saying? The need for anti-healing. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'll necessarily need Divine Ruin. I'm hoping Spear of the Magus with its damage increase for me is going to be enough. 7.5% of what I'm doing isn't necessarily anything to shake a stick at, but that will remain to be seen.
Okay. My
I
bad.
do not have words because I really slacked off on those. I need those stacks, brother. Come on. That's gone. Can we take this? Just sneakily? Shh.
Yo.
Hello there.
Oh, yeah, we can take that easily really fast. Holy cow.
Hey.
That's a bit unfortunate, but... Yes, sirree. Take her out, thank you. Let me just take care of that problem real quick. It's fine.
Okay.
Alright. He's making his way over that Hachiman, but it's going to be way too late for that. I don't want to use my ult on him because he's by himself, and I really don't think I'm going to need to. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't think that was going to be necessary. Oh, no harpies there. Well, that's a disappointment. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined, clearly. Alright. Can we actually take this, or is this some kind of pipe dream we have right now? I'm kind of concerned about the Xingshan. Well, I really don't need to be concerned about the Xingshan. I have beads and my ult. That's all gone? Alright.
Gangsta gang.
Okay, well, I guess I'll be using my ult if Xingshan ults in. But never mind, he's just ulted. Oh. I didn't have the lifesteal for that. I got really arrogant there. Alright, we gotta go for the Calamitous. Rod of the Booty for now. And then adjust my build as needed. What's she up to? Yep, there's the Rod of the Tahuti. This is built on everyone now, and this is purely because of the glyph. I don't care what mage you are. Rod of the Booty offers you something extra special. Alright, this is standard on every mage everywhere. I have actually almost never built Rod of the Booty on Anubis prior to the season. Every once in a blue moon I would, but it was very infrequent. But with the glyph, it's just so potent that not building it is just killing a lot of your damage potential. It's a must-buy item on every mage. I don't care what mage you are. Even if you do attack speed, there's the Nimble Rod of the Booty that you can purchase. It's just there's no reason for you to not build Rod of the Booty. I again don't care what mage you are. They all benefit. That was a good blink. He's still dead, but it was a good blink.
Them have been annihilated. Deicide.
Alright. They're all coming back up. We gotta play this one a little bit more carefully. Or not. Alright, never mind. I guess we don't play that carefully. But I wish I'd been able to demonstrate a little bit more. A couple of more items that are built. But yeah, as I just said earlier, the most popular build right now is easily the... Boing? Is very easily the... Sands of Time with Bancrofts. Now, again, I would like to reiterate this just to make sure, but I built slightly out of order for Anubis. I built Stage 2 Bancrofts first because the lifesteal is more important to Anubis than the MP5 is at the very beginning, because the idea is he gets the 60 power, he gets the lifesteal, he turns around, he slaps down whoever, right? That's the general idea there. So that's generally where I differed here, but typically you're going to build Sands of Time first for that MP5, and you're going to start working towards Bancrofts, supplementing the small amount of lifesteal from the Stage 1 Bancrofts with health potions until you know, obviously build the full Bancrofts. Stacks are not very popular right now. You'll actually notice, and this match was a pretty good example why, but matches have the possibility of ending pretty early. Now, there's going to be some matches that are going to be really long in length, and there are some that are going to be like this that'll be significantly shorter. And I wasn't able to finish my stacks in time, and that happens. That's generally why the stacks aren't built as often as they used to be anymore. There is still a place for them. Again, I was specifically building Book of Thoth because I know a lot of lifesteal items have mana. Specifically, the two that I was going to be building, which was Bancrofts and Typhon's Fang. They both have a lot of mana that they provide, so it was going to be a nice power spike combined with Book of Thoth. But typically, you're not going to be looking at stacks unless you know for a fact it's going to be a long game, or at least you suspect based on the team compositions, the skill of the players, whatever. You suspect it's going to be a longer game. One of the two. But that's generally why stacks aren't built as often anymore. Again, you still can. You just have to read the team compositions and see what really you're going to be going for. Now, my team here is overall pretty early game, in all honesty. Anubis is very early game because his passive removes flat protections. I believe it's 21. So he's very powerful in the early game when people barely have more than 21 magic protections in the first place. He's practically doing true damage in the early game. Charybdis' attack speed is very impressive. Her whole combo chain there is very impressive. But because her passive only gives her 70% of the power from her items, she generally does better in the early game. Generally speaking, she still can scale well into the late game if she does well enough in the early game. Erlong Shen, generally, he does do a little bit better in the late game, in my opinion, because he's got his ult that heals him a percentage of his max health, which will be at its highest when he's level 20, and damage mitigation, which is more useful in the late game. But the shield from his turtle form is a bit more useful in the early game, so I kind of see him as an across-the-board kind of guy. Loki hits harder in the early game, kind of drops in the mid game, and then depending on how you build him, does really well in the late game. Now, you'll notice he got away with building Transcendence. There are two reasons for this. One, he built it earlier than I was building Book of Thoth. Two, it only requires 50 stacks. The problem with the mage stacking items is that they require more than 50 stacks. Book of Thoth requires 75. I'm pretty sure that the Warlock staff still requires 100, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to leave the screen quite yet. But they both require more than 50 stacks, at minimum. So they require at least 75 stacks. That takes a while. Transcendence does not. Transcendence only takes 50 stacks, so it's a lot easier to build. But I probably didn't need to build Book of Thoth. I mean, it didn't hurt my performance too much. But yeah, that's basically why stacks aren't built as often on mages anymore. Spear of the Magus is actually very popular. That 7.5% increased damage from all sources is very potent if used correctly. I don't personally build it on everyone. There are some mages I just won't build it on. Not many mages, but there are a handful of mages that I will not build this on. That's not important now, but this is common, but it's not something you necessarily always will want to be building. This is typically the item that I replace with Divine Ruin if I need to, which is why I talked about that earlier. Some people have a different item they would prefer. Probably I should have built Divine Ruin instead of Book of Thoth, to be honest, but that's fine. Typhon's Fang isn't really that popular. It just isn't as powerful as Rod of the Booty is, comparatively speaking. You get way more power out of Rod of the Booty. Like I said, Rod of the Booty is always a thing you pick up. This Calamitous Rod of the Booty is what I was going to be going for. She built it first because she was desperate. I wanted my lifesteal, etc. But yeah, overall, that's really where I was going with this. Again, Rod of the Booty is 100% a must-buy. A lot of people build Chronos Pendant for the cooldown. A very common thing to do is build Sands of Time and Chronos Pendant at some point. Chronos Pendant at some point in your build, and use that for a full 40% cooldown reduction. Yes, the potion provides 10% cooldown, but a lot of people don't care. A lot of people are more concerned about the consistent 40% cooldown reduction. How you want to approach it is up to you, but that's just how a lot of people are building up their builds. She was going to go into Obsidian Shard, which is a little bit interesting, because usually not a lot of penetration is being built here. Thanks to Rod of the Booty being so powerful and providing you with 10% magical penetration here, and the glyph being so powerful for, regardless of which version you're using, the glyph being very powerful, does make penetration theoretically less important, especially as a lot of supports are not building as much magic protection as they used to. You'll actually notice that the Athena built pure magic protection very late. We have both protections physical, then she was going to go into magical. Xingqian hadn't even started a purely magical protection item yet. Ravon did build a magic protection item, but again, it was his fourth item, which is not unusual with a solo lane against a physical opponent, so that's actually not that unusual. But you will notice that the two supports were building their magic protections very late, and this is a trend I've noticed. And if you watched the Beginner's Guide to Solo Season 9 update, which will have been posted the same day as this, if you've watched that episode, you'll notice that the Ra follows along with this trend. He built his magic protections very late. I'm not sure why people are building their magic protections so late. To the point where they actually only ever build one, possibly two magic protection items, pure magic protection items. They'll either rely on the hybrid items or go for physical instead. The hybrid items make sense, you're getting both protections, but I don't know why magic protections have been decreased so much in importance in the eyes of a lot of tankier builds. I usually build my magic protection item third at the latest, at least one. So, I'm not really sure. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a big difference, but it's the first half of the game that you're having your magic protections set up in, and then everyone else is doing it at the second half of the game. But that's also why I was able to slap around so many people, even Xingqian, who, granted, had Gauntlet of Thebes there in health, but that was it. I was reducing that by 21 flat penetration, don't forget. I'm sorry, well, 21 flat, and then from my passive, and then 15 from here, so that would have been 36. That's 36 out of his 50 out of here gone, right? And then he would have had his default. So if that would have been his 104, that would have been the 60 total because he's got his aura still. So that would have been down to 44, and I was removing 36 of that 44. No, hold on. Yeah, 34. I think I'm miscalculating something here. I think I'm adding in something that isn't actually being factored by this. The defense stats here are a little bit weird, but he would have had... No, I was only doing 36 out of the 104. What am I talking about? 36 out of the 104 still leaves me bringing him down to 68 magic protections, which isn't a whole lot. And he had no dedicated magic protection item, right? So a lot of mages have responded by not building that much penetration. So it's very unusual to see Hell building Obsidian Shard, which is exactly what this is going to go into. It's the only thing it can go into. Especially since the only person who had magic protections was Athena. This was going to be a waste, no matter what she did with it. Because Athena didn't have the kind of protections that would have merited this, and nobody else is building magic protections. But yeah, not a lot of mages are building heavy amounts of penetration. Even Charon's coin has fallen off a lot because it's not really being purchased for penetrations. You'll mostly see Charon's coin purchased, if purchased at all, for its sustain rather than its penetration. And even then, a lot of mages would rather do the Sands of Time Bancroft's Talent opening move. It just provides you with more power. So ultimately, that's really what I wanted to talk about here. It doesn't sound like it's much, but mage builds have gotten a bit more rigid, quite a bit more rigid. Like I said, everyone builds Rod of the Booty because it's so powerful right now. And there are a lot of other very common items. Spear of the Magus is very common. Bancroft's Talent obviously is very common. Chronos Pendant is very common. Sands of Time is very common. But yeah, that's basically what it comes down to. So yeah, with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.